Hello, America. I want to talk to you about Fremont County. Fremont County is a county, one of the 64 counties in Colorado. Fremont County is where James Holmes is going to live out the rest of his days. Now, James Holmes, of course, is the Aurora shooter. He murdered 12 people in a movie theater at the Dark Knight Rising, right? The movie was Dark Knight Rising. He killed 12 people in cold blood for no apparent fucking reason whatsoever. That's who James Holmes is, and he's currently housed in the Colorado State Penitentiary in Canyon City, Fremont County, Colorado. That's where Colorado executes their death row inmates, at the state penitentiary. But Colorado hasn't executed anybody, at least not officially, since October 13th, 1997. But there was 177 American citizens who have died in Colorado jails recently in a span of just 6 years, from 2010 to 2016. Colorado has had 177 fucking deaths, unofficial jailer executions, from 2010 to 2016. 177 have been killed. But we haven't executed anybody officially since 1997. How many people were killed from 97 to 2010? I don't know. Has anybody died this year? I don't know that either. The overwhelming majority of those 177 unofficial executions, 78 were white. That means to the general white population, especially to the stupid-ass, piece of shit, white supremacist, racist, it's not just black folks who are being targeted. Everybody is. Whatever they do to one of us, they do to us all. In fact, they're doing it to white people more. John Patrick Walter was found dead in his cell, naked with 9 broken ribs. He was hemorrhaging in his hip, shoulder, and spine. And so he's found dead naked on April 20th, so 4/20 should be easy to remember, in 2014. You also had Dale Henry O'Toole, who died February 1st, 2015, and you had Gregory Bernard Smith, who died March 9th, 2016, and all three of them, John Patrick Walter, Dale Henry O'Toole, and Gregory Bernard Smith, were found dead, or worse, they were murdered in Fremont County jails. In Fremont County, Brandon Atencio was killed by Charles Stage on December 11th, 2014. That's when Brandon Atencio was killed by Charles Stage, a Canyon City police officer in Fremont County. So Candace Hiltz, who was going to go to Stanford, who was a child prodigy, who was going to be the Supreme Court Justice of the United States, that's how ambitious she was. This 17 years old was going to take the world by its tail and make it its oyster. Instead, she was murdered on August 15th. August 15th, 2006. August 15th, 2006 is when Candace Hiltz was shot up a whole bunch of times, different caliber guns, different directions, and then shoved underneath the bed with a shoddy investigation. 90% of the evidence wasn't even picked up, and then the evidence that was picked up was either not even put in the evidence locker, or the Robert Dodd's been keeping a hold of it all these years. Is it some weird person who wants to have collectibles? I watched the Bates Motel, and on the Bates Motel, Norman Bates liked to keep one of, an artifact for each one of his victims. Is that what's happening? Now, James Holmes isn't on death row. He's got like 200 or 300 life sentences that he has to serve. He's not on death row, but you do have 3 black men, Nathan Dunlap, Mario Owens, and Robert Ray, who all graduated from Aurora High School, and they're on death row. They didn't kill 12 people. in cold blood like James Holmes did. In fact, Robert Ray, he didn't kill anybody. Robert Ray had ordered Mario Owens to do it. But Robert Ray, who has killed nobody, is on death row. But James Holmes, a man who killed 12 people, is not on death row. John Hickenlooper says that the death penalty makes celebrities out of 2-bit criminals, and he's absolutely right about that. The last person executed in Colorado was Gary Lee Davis on October 13th, 1997. Okay, 97 is 20 years. That's pretty good. I think that's the state isn't killing us. I like that. It's comforting. Though I do believe in some instances the death penalty is okay. Gary Lee Davis, along with his wife, kidnapped Virginia May, their neighbor, took her out into a field where Gary Lee Davis raped her, and then he shot her 14 times. Gary Lee Davis deserves to die. Gary Lee Davis murdered in cold blood. Justice is an eye for an eye. But then we learn about his details of his last day of life on Earth. Gary Lee Davis was a Marine in the 60s. Gary Lee Davis's last meal was vanilla and chocolate ice cream. Gary Lee Davis asked for a cigarette, but since Colorado's state penitentiary was a non-smoking facility, Gary Lee Davis's request was denied. But unnamed jailers did require Gary Lee Davis to take a shower before he got his lethal injections. So the death penalty in Colorado in 1997 made Gary Lee Davis a 2-bit criminal, a celebrity. Gary Lee Davis, the last man Colorado officially sanctioned to be murdered, was killed by lethal injection in Canyon City, Fremont County, Colorado on October 13th, 1997. Less than half of Fremont County's 47,000 residents vote. And out of those who do vote, 75% voted for Donald Trump. Even less of them voted for Hillary, and even less of them voted for Gary Johnson and Jill Stein. There's 7 prisons in Fremont County, Colorado. 7 prisons in one county, population 47,000. There's more prisons in Fremont County than there are hospitals and colleges put together, which should give you an indication of the sick oppressor culture that pervades Fremont County. Nearly 11 years ago, on August 15th, 2006, 17-year-old white woman, Candace Hiltz, a single mother of an invalid, was murdered, brutally shot with 3 different caliber guns from 3 different locations. The Fremont County Police charged nobody with murder. Those who murdered Candace Hiltz in Fremont County, Colorado, are still at large, and they are most likely armed and dangerous. Jim Beicker was the sheriff at the time. He's been sheriff since January 2003. He's still a sheriff today, Jim Beicker. And Molly Chilson was the district attorney back then, too. And she is also the district attorney right now. She is on her 2nd term right now. On December 17th, 2016, so fast forward 10 years to just 5.5 months ago, Rick Ratzlaff bought Robert Dodd's old storage unit number 47, at an auction. And the storage was being auctioned off because the incompetent and corrupt Robert Dodd didn't pay his storage unit bill. So Rick Ratzlaff was the winning benefactor for that particular storage unit number 47. Rick Ratzlaff was attracted to a police light that he could see in plain sight, sitting on top on a pile of stuff that Robert Dodd had stored in his storage unit number 47. What Rick Ratzlaff found inside Robert Dodd's old storage unit shocked the shit out of him. Rick Ratzlaff found 2 female socks. Both were bloody, a chrome hatchet, which was also bloody, a rope, also bloody, a shell casing, and boxes of paperwork. And then you found some questionable items inside the storage unit.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You found
bloody socks, a hatchet, ropes, a shell casing. All kinds of stuff.
Was the rope bloody too?
What's that?
You said the rope. You had rope. You found rope. So I was wondering if it was bloody too, because I remember bloody socks and an axe and the.
Yes, it was bloody. And what it was used to tie up the family dog up there. They killed the dog.
Right.
Before they killed her. 3 days prior, they killed the dog. And then came back and
yeah, you wouldn't know about that. Like, I guess I would like to talk to the family too, but I've read somewhere that a police officer had talked to them prior, and then that was an argument. Candace Hilt.
There were 3 of them up there, and what happened was Candace Hilt called them out for dealing drugs up there on the west end, and they wanted her computer and they wanted her phone because she took pictures. And she had evidence. She was going to blow the whistle on.
Right.
And they were up there wanting everything, and and the family dog was trying to bite them. So
who are these 3 people? 13 days later, on December 30th, 2016, 5 days after our Lord's birthday, the Sheriff Jimmy James Beicker, i.e. Jim Beicker, became aware that Rick Ratzlaff was in possession of the evidence that Robert Dodd had hid in his storage unit. And it was on that day that Jim Beicker met Rick Ratzlaff at storage unit number 47, along with FCSO Captain Jeff Worley. Rick Ratzlaff said that Jim Beicker threatened Rick and his whole family. According to Rick Ratzlaff, Jim Beicker was at Rick's house when Rick wasn't there, looking for Rick. Then Jim Beicker called Rick up on Rick's cell phone, and Jim Beicker said, I want to see what you got in that locker today, and I'll meet you up there. And I want it all. If you don't cooperate with me, then your life is in danger, and your family's is too. He said you need to keep it kind of on down low, and then he had access to the thing, and then it got ransacked. Is that...
Well, what happened is he threatened me over the phone to give him everything, or my life could be in danger, my family's life.
Jesus. So
and he threatened me. He had the balls to threaten me and piss me off.
Sure.
And, I've always known there's corruption there.
You said, okay, so he threatened you. What exactly did he say? Like, he said, you better not tell anybody about this, or I'll kill you, or what?
No, he said, I want to see what you got in that locker today, and I'll meet you up there. He's actually at my house, and I wasn't here, and he called me, and he says, I want it all, and if you don't want to cooperate with me, your life is in danger, and your family is too.
God damn, dude. Damn.
It pissed me off, so what I did is, I'm a little bit smarter than that idiot.
Yeah.
I immediately drove up there and took items out.
Yeah.
And took them to my house. Just because I didn't want him to get everything and then say it was never there.
Here's a small snippet of that meeting between Rick, his wife, and Jim and Jeff Worley.
There we go, okay, what's in here? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of stuff already gone. If you get used to it, whatever. How about, so I talked to you earlier, you said you found all this stuff. Do you think that stuff is still here? Or is this, you said when we opened the door, you said, oh, it looks like other stuff's gone.
Yeah, there is, because it wasn't organized.
Well, but who? Authorized by you, or?
I told one guy he could come in here.
And he was...
I didn't lock it.
Yeah. Well, you haven't done anything wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to get an idea of what I'm dealing with here.
Yeah.
So Dodd could have come back up there and got it.
Yeah, but he would have taken it.
Well, if somebody would have kept their mouth shut about everything, he probably wouldn't have.
So there was bloody clothes, there's a sock in there.
There's socks in here.
You said there was a shell casing.
There's a shell casing, there's a hatchet, there's a rope.
No, don't look. You think it was in this stuff, though?
Yeah.
But it's not now.
We've already been through it because it was in.
No, yeah, I
it was in a bag.
Yeah, I get it.
So.
Just one single shell casing.
So.
It could be in here on the floor, dude. I mean,
you might have to go talk to Mike.
That big, yeah.
This looks like it's been gone through and organized. That's what it looks like to me.
Do you think? God, man, I'm sorry. It's a mess. It's a freaking mess.
Well, we found it Christmas morning, because we were up here Christmas morning.
I took the axe home, the little axe. It's at my house.
Yeah.
Was it labeled or anything? Did it have tape or anything on it? See, because that may not be part of it. I don't know. If it was labeled somewhere.
It said evidence in the bag.
Yeah.
And
it was in the bag?
Yeah.
It wasn't, the bag itself, I don't think said evidence, which is why we opened it. But the folder.
It said evidence. When you get really read that.
Yeah, would you be willing to give me that bag? And I think if it was in a bag labeled like that, it's probably part of this. And I'll tell you, if it's not, I'll give it back to you. But I've got it.
In that conversation, Beicker indicated that CBI needed to get a hold of it all, so he forcefully took over the possession of storage unit number 47. It wouldn't be 5 days later, though, January 3rd, 2017, when Jim Beicker would eventually give CBI all the evidence in storage unit number 47. So he didn't immediately give it to CBI. And then Molly Chilson currently has possession of the CBI report of the evidence from storage unit number 47. Rick Ratzlaff said that he had returned back to the storage unit after that Worley and Beicker had talked to him on December 30th. He went back and he saw that it had been ransacked and all the evidence was taken away. So that's 5 days before Jim Beicker gave the evidence to CBI. And yet they're only putting the tampering with evidence, or actually they don't even put tamper with evidence on Robert Dodd. Sometime in early January, Robert Dodd would take a routine leave of absence, which means that Robert Dodd would get a paid vacation. And he got paid. He got $20,000 this year, while the media covered his ass because none of this shit is routine. 3.5 months later, on April 23rd, 2017, Robert Dodd is retired by the FCSO, Fremont County Sheriff's Office. Robert Dodd gets his picture in the paper as an honorable hero who's got decades of abuse and corruption under his belt. But he still couldn't muster a goddamn smile. Robert Dodd's going to be a Nazi all the way to the bitter end. On May 6, 2017, this month, 29-year-old Marine Corps veteran Casey Suttles was targeted by the FCSO because he was open carrying and because he was hanging out with Rick Ratzlaff at the Canyon City Rodeo grounds during a Saturday night rodeo and dance. About 9 officers, if not more, followed Rick Ratzlaff and Casey Suttles around. Then they put Casey Suttles in handcuffs while they gave him a breathalyzer test and they ran his ID for warrants. Casey Suttles wasn't drunk, nor did Casey Suttles have any warrants. Eventually, an honest cop, Michael Federhoff, said that it didn't appear that Casey Suttles was drunk. He uncuffed him and then gave him back his gun. After that incident, an unmarked sheriff's vehicle tailed Rick Ratzlaff all the way back to his house.
Anything could have happened.
Yeah, I guess I'm worried about...
Thank God there was an honest cop that came, a sheriff deputy came and stopped it.
What?
Who knows what would happen?
Who was it?
Federhoff. You know, make a move or something, you know, just a reason to blow us away. I honestly think that because all night they watched us, and I told my friend, I told his mom, I said, they're watching us, they're planning something, and it's going to happen. And they were like, oh, you're paranoid, you're paranoid, you're paranoid. And then when we got outside the gate, and they followed us clear out the middle of where our cars were, no witnesses, I said, no, it's going down right now. It did.
On May 17, 2017, 12 days ago, Tracy Harmon, again with another major break in the case, reports that the evidence from storage unit number 47 was found in a landfill in Penrose, found by Robert Orton. Robert Orton is a worker at the Phantom landfill in Penrose. He discovered what seemed to be crime evidence that was dumped, allegedly from a dumpster ordered by Robert Dodd's wife. Robert Orton called the district attorney's office, Molly Chilson, about the evidence he found, but nobody answered. So I wonder what Molly was doing. I bet you Roger Larson would have answered the phone. He knows that there's good cops and bad cops. Doesn't seem to get that. She was very annoyed when she called back. Eventually, Molly Chilson is going to call Tracy Harmon back and just pass the buck. Here's the DA investigator give all the information to him. After being unable to make contact with the DA's office, Robert Orton proceeded to call Rick Ratzlaff. And then Rick called Tracy, the reporter from the Pueblo Chieftain, urging them to go to the Penrose landfill and to take pictures of the evidence before it was covered over by heavy equipment. Accompanied by a friend, Tracy Harmon drove to the landfill. As Tracy Harmon reached the front gate, she again tried to contact the district attorney, Molly Chilson, to alert Molly about the evidence and everything that, was going down. But again, she didn't get any answer. Tracy Harmon left Molly Chilson a voicemail on her cell phone. Tracy Harmon found a computer, an envelope marked evidence that contained a DVD, a videotape labeled as containing a sexual assault investigation interview, a tackle box with forensic lights, and a letter that was signed by Robert Dodd. Has his signature right on the letter. And the evidence, some of it was dated between 2003 and 2006, and a whole bunch of other documents. Molly Chilson has the CBI report of the evidence from the storage unit number 47 from before all this came to light. So she had charged Robert Dodd with abuse of public records and 2 counts of second-degree official misconduct. So abuse of public records, abusing of public records, and it's just a misdemeanor, but that's like weird. Did you abuse those public records? You abused them, and then 2 counts of second-degree official misconduct. Yes, absolutely, it's definitely misconduct. But it's also tampering with evidence. She only charged him with 3 misdemeanors. And he's living in Alvin, Texas. Well, we'll get to that in a second. Molly Chilson has the CBI report of the evidence from storage unit number 47. But all she charged Robert Dodd with was 3 misdemeanors. She filed those charges on a Thursday, and according to the complaint, it says between December 25th, Christmas, and December 30th, the the day Beicker had that meeting, that Robert Dodd knowingly altered a public record even though he had not been authorized as a custodian of the record. So this is very precise. They're saying within a span of 6 days, he had something to do with the storage unit. Is that what's being said? Molly Chilson's complaint also states that between and including August 15, 2006 and December 20th, 2016, Dodd, a public servant, unlawfully, knowingly, arbitrarily, and capriciously refrained from performing a duty imposed upon him by law. And that's it. But it does say since the murder of Candace Hiltz until December 20th. So there's 2 charges. One's a span of 11 years, and then the other one's in a span of 5 days. Robert Dodd was the man that Candace Hiltz had argued with. Right before Candace Hiltz was murdered, she had an argument with the police, and Robert Dodd was the man that she argued with.
I don't really have their names.
Because that's what I read, that it was a police officer, but I'm like, oh my God, who is that person? Because that would be my number 1 suspect of who killed her.
Yeah. Well, we all know who did it, and actually, I got some big information tonight from an out-of-town source that just linked 2 murders, Hiltz and another murder together, from something from the landfill. So something's getting ready to explode. I can't really talk about it right now.
Yeah. No,
I can't put it out there.
That's fine. Just tell me what
I know what's getting ready to happen, and it's big. Real big.
Is it that, was that Robert Dodd or whatever? Was he one of the cops that was talking to Candace?
Yes. I believe he was, and I believe it's Montoya and Hall. But I'm not sure on that, so,
yeah. Robert Dodd and 2 other Fremont County cops, according to the stories, were picking on her brother, accusing him of burglarizing the neighborhood, and Candace didn't like it, and she let them know about it. Candace Hiltz apparently told the 3 Fremont County cops that she had pictures of them being on the take, of them being involved with the drug trade, and that if they didn't back off of her brother, then she was going to go public with it. Well, they knew she had pictures of them, or at least thought that she did. Robert Dodd was the man that Candace Hiltz argued with. Robert Dodd was one of the investigators for Candace Hiltz's murder. The FCSO didn't collect 90% of the evidence. They just left most of it strewn all about. It was only after the family had collected all the evidence that it was turned in. And I wonder if that evidence ever even went into the evidence locker in the basement of the sheriff's office. Or did Robert Dodd just collect it and keep it for himself? Because if it was put into the evidence locker, then that means Robert Dodd would have had to gone into the evidence locker himself and taken this evidence and kept it in his possession. Robert Dodd was the man that Candace Hiltz argued with. Robert Dodd was one of the investigators for Candace Hiltz's murder. Robert Dodd was the man who kept the bloody rope that Jackson, their family dog, was hung with. Robert Dodd kept the axe that was allegedly used to kill Jackson, the family dog. Robert Dodd kept documents, court records, VHS recordings of investigations of all kinds in his own private possession. Robert Dodd kept Candace Hiltz. He kept her bloody socks. Robert Dodd kept the blanket that Candace Hiltz's dead body was wrapped up in. And then once it's discovered what was in storage unit number 47, Rick Ratzlaff is threatened by the sheriff. The sheriff and Jeff Worley went together to talk to Rick Ratzlaff. Rick said he returned 5 minutes after that meeting was over and the storage unit was ransacked and all the evidence was gone. Molly Chilson is accusing Robert Dodd of being the man who ransacked that storage unit. Then the CBI gets the evidence. They write a report, give it back to Molly Chilson, and she files 3 misdemeanors against Robert Dodd. Then more evidence from that same storage locker is found in a Penrose landfill, only to be discovered because of an honest man who defied his boss, who better still have his job because Robert Orton, did the rightful and honest thing. And that's tampering with evidence. How the fuck is that not tampering with evidence? For 11 years you kept it in your own private storage unit, or did you get it after year 5? And how can he not pay his bill? And what the fuck is going on? We need some answers. We need to understand. He needs to be put under oath, and we need some answers. Because at the very least, he's guilty of tampering with evidence. At the very least. And that's tampering with evidence. Like a motherfucker. You can't get no more tampering with evidence. And that's tampering with evidence like a motherfucker. I've never seen a motherfucker tamper with evidence like how Robert Dodd tampers with evidence. And tamper with evidence is a felony charge. Robert Dodd should be charged with tamper with evidence. If that's not tamper with evidence, then those words have no meaning. Tamper with evidence, I get the fuck out of here. If Robert Dodd didn't tamper with evidence, then nobody ever has in the past, now, nor ever will tamper with evidence. If Robert Dodd didn't tamper with evidence. One great thing about Colorado's democracy is the process of recall. If we the people don't like a mayor, a city council person, a judge, a district attorney, a representative of the House, or a senator, or a sheriff, maybe even a governor, but definitely the dog catcher, the board of public health, anybody that is a public official, anybody that's a public official, we can just kick them out. We the people can file a recall petition, and then an election is set up, and then they can be voted out of office. Get the hell out of here. In the great metropolis of Otis, Colorado, population 534 in Washington County in the northeastern portion of the Centennial State, named after W.O. Otis, a pioneer. The people there, the Otisans, kicked out their entire city council this year and replaced them with others. So that's amazing. They kicked out their entire city council. Population 535, named after W.O. Otis. The Otisans kicked out their entire city council through the process of recall. This year, 2017, this just happened in Washington County. Okay, so Rick Ratzlaff is part of a group that got a petition started They got it certified, and now they're going to go collect signatures in order to recall Sheriff Jim Beicker. Sheriff Jim Beicker, the sheriff who presided over this case, the murder of Candace Hiltz, who had Robert Dodd on his squad for the whole time, I would assume. He was in there for 25 years, Robert Dodd was, and Beicker has been in there for 27 years, so it seems like he's been in there for quite some time. Robert Dodd actually was educated in the community center, or the community college in Pueblo, and he worked as a mall security cop for a while too, and some other security firm before finding his break with the Fremont County Sheriff's Office, with the FCSO, Fremont County Sheriff's Office, FCSO. So in the last Fremont County Sheriff's election in November 2014, there were 16,621 votes total. That means that the recall team needs to at least get 4,155.25 signatures to get the recall certified. The .25 rounds down, so that's 4,155 signatures needed, and usually to get some more above and beyond is the safest way to go, but you only need specifically 4,155. But the, verification, some people might not be registered, they might have the wrong address, and so the verification process might not kick a couple signatures off, so it's best to get a certain percentage above the required amount. The clusterfuck of Candace Hilt's murder case isn't the only reason why Jim Beicker should be recalled. Here's all the possible Fremont County shenanigans that I found so far. So, the brutal murder of Candace Hiltz on August 15th, 2006, and the 11-year clusterfuck of an investigation. Brandon Intencio was killed by Canyon City police officer Charles Stage on December 11th, 2014. The death of John Patrick Walter in a Fremont County jail in 2014, who was found dead, naked on the floor. He had many broken ribs. He was hemorrhaging in his hip, shoulder, and spine. And Jim Beicker had said that he didn't do a good job with that investigation. He admitted that in a deposition, which he was nervous throughout the entire video. It's online. You can check it out. FCSO's deputy, Aaron Hart, was placed on administrative leave. I'm not sure if it was paid or not, in March 2017. This year, after a Colorado State Patrol officer, Gregory Muse, had reported that Aaron Hart was arresting and harassing drivers for no motherfucking apparent reason whatsoever motherfucking ever. Just fucking with people, just to be fucking with people. He's got that cap, he's got the power on, now he's going to go around and just start harassing people. And he's going after DUIs. Is he taking blood samples of people? So he's taking people's blood? The one victim, one of Aaron Hart's victims, would later be booked in jail, and then they would have to undergo humiliating strip searches. So because Aaron Hart was bullied, one of his victims had to go into jail, be booked, get the picture taken, be humiliated even further with the strip search when they did nothing wrong. He was placed on administrative leave March 2017. FCSO's Deputy Bruce Briscoe, who I believe was there with the whole Candace Hiltz investigation and cover-up, was placed on administrative leave in February 2017 for abusing his authority when he had sex with a 17-year-old he taught as a DARE officer in her high school in 1999. In Custer County. Eventually, Molly Chilson is going to be the jury on that one, and she's not even going to put it forward. Brandon Tilley and his wife were arrested for child abuse in 2017 for leaving marks on his child after spanking his kid 5 times with a belt and 2 times with his hand. He's placed on administrative leave. I'm not sure if it was paid or not either. Brandon Tilley is expected to be in court June 19th, 2017. There's a federal Hammond versus Beicker case I didn't look into that much. Louis T. Babcock was a senior judge of the U.S. District Court. He threw it out. but nobody would go through a federal case if they didn't feel like they were being wronged. So I think that's worth checking into. And then Gene Fish, he's been missing for 13 years, since 2004. He was a retired federal agent who mysteriously vanished from his rural home west of Canyon City on June 1st, 2004, when Sheriff Beicker was sheriff. So my conclusion is this. After the terrorist attack on Manchester, you had Nigel Farage immediately call for fighting and more investigations and more militarism, more surveillance, more police state. Days afterwards, there's still 1,000 British soldiers out and about interrogating folks, looking for more folks to arrest. They've already made 16 arrests, including the brothers and the father of Salman Ramadanabetti, the Manchester bomber. There's also talk of curbing civil liberties, taking everybody's guns, expanding the surveillance state, rounding up Muslims, invading more Muslim lands, have TSA screenings everywhere. And yet we Americans are more likely to die by police terrorism than by Muslim Islamic jihadi terrorism. I will never get killed by a Muslim jihadi terrorist. I have only seen Muslims like maybe twice in my entire 35 years on this planet. So we are more likely to die by police terrorism than by Muslim terrorism. But whenever there's a person who is killed by the police, or it seems like they could have been killed by the police, it's like the entire American society just collectively turns their heads. Maybe out of weakness of conscience, maybe out of powerlessness, but there's just hardly no outrage. They aren't condemning them completely. There's no universal condemnation. In fact, some folks still defend the police terrorists, until the end, who murder in cold blood over corruption caused by the war on drugs, when violence is unacceptable and cold-blooded murder is unacceptable. The war on drugs has failed. When Candace Hiltz was murdered, there wasn't a massive manhunt. When John Patrick Walter was killed, 16 people were not arrested, like what happened in Manchester. 16 arrests because of the deadly actions of one man. And in fact, with both murders, Candace's and John Patrick's, we didn't even see one person charged with any crime. There wasn't 16 arrests. Did Robert Dodd even go to jail? If not, why not? To spare him of the abusive treatment that the prison guards treat the prisoners there? Because the captains of the machine knows exactly what's going on? They're not going to spare one of their own. They're going to spare one of their own of the abuse and humiliation. Did Robert Dodd get strip searched, as what happened to Aaron Hart's victims? Did Robert Dodd get the abuse, pain, degradation that he's been giving to folks for nearly 3 decades now? Robert Dodd somehow magically didn't even get a felony charge of tampering with evidence when it was obvious that he did. Robert Dodd tampered with evidence. He's guilty, 100%, and possibly guilty of more, possibly murder. He would be my prime suspect. If I'm the lead investigator, I'm arresting Robert Dodd and everybody else that was involved with this case. 16 arrests. I probably could find 16 people to arrest over the murder of Candace Hiltz. She still has not got justice, and her legacy is still remembered. Those are the 2 most important things to anybody who dies or who gets murdered. Remember their legacy and get justice. Candace Hiltz has not got justice yet. So with both murders, Candace's and John Patrick's, we didn't even see one person get charged with any crime. There wasn't 16 arrests. The cop terrorist, nor any other official, the DA or the judge, they weren't interrogated nor arrested and charged. Neither are their brothers and fathers, and there's no talk about who finances these terrorists. Surprise, it's us. No war is declared. Millions, billions, trillions of dollars are spent to go to war after these terrorist killers. And there's not 1,000 soldiers going around going after the accomplices of the terrorist. In fact, the authorities are the ones who covers these crimes up. Corrupt jailers and cops can't get away with their crimes if the judges and prosecutors were honest. Since the courtroom is where cops should be able to get checked when they cross the thin red white and blue line boundary between good and evil. What kind of society accepts murder? If we can't even agree that murder is wrong, then me and you have nothing in common. And we also have no basis for a foundation for society. Robert Dodd was suspended in early January 2017, and then Robert Dodd was retired on April 23rd, 2017, months later. For the 3.5 months that Robert Dodd was on paid administrative leave, a paid vacation, he received $20,451 of taxpayer money, so he can, make his payments on his Alvin, Texas estate, which is where he now lives, while he sat on his ass doing not a goddamn thing. So 3.5 months of taxpayer money, 20 grand, just here you go, Robert Dodd. That's a kind of victory, forcing him out of the county, making him live in another state. But I wonder how much is his retirement check going to be? Are we going to continue to pay Robert Dodd to sit on his fat ass for his crappy, corrupt, violent, abusive years of service? For his tamper with evidence? For him tamper with everybody's evidence? That's what we're going to give him a big fat retirement check for? Will the people of Fremont County continue to foot the bill for Robert Dodd's lifestyle? Molly Chilson is a rubber stamp police report intaker prosecutor. She's a fascist ditto head. She is very annoyed that Tracy Harmon called her regarding evidence for her case. You should have a hotline, Molly Chilson. Whenever somebody has evidence and they have it for a case, you should want to take that evidence in. Why would you be against evidence? Isn't that just the whole point of your office, is to compile evidence to build cases up against people? Or do you not take any evidence from the public? It's only from your stormtroopers that you accept the police report from. Anybody can be a witness. Anybody can collect evidence. If I'm the district attorney and somebody says, I got evidence on so-and-so for doing this, yes, tell me, where is it at? Tell me. Yes, of course. She was annoyed that Tracy Harmon called her. She didn't even pick up for Robert Orton. And then, she calls it off and passes the buck and says, here's the DA, investigator. So she did the right thing, but it seemed like you had to put some pressure on Molly Chilson to do the right thing. And then I wonder about Robert Dodd. Did he move to Alvin, Texas, near the Gulf of Mexico recently, or did he always own that estate? And what's he got hiding there? What's in his backyard? What's in his basement? How much more evidence does he have? Is he free, out and about? Can he continue to tamper with evidence? So I'd like to know when he bought that Texas estate. I'm glad he got the fuck out of Dodge. But another question I have is, when will the people of Fremont County ever get justice? I bet Robert Dodd will plea bargain with Molly Chilson. And I bet he won't get any jail time. Hell, I'm doubtful if we'll even see him in court when he's supposed to be there. He's supposed to return, what, in June 6th or 16th or something? Yeah, we'll see. I hope we've got DNA from Robert Dodd, too, right? Just like Aaron Hart. Aaron Hart got blood samples from, just bullying people just to take people's blood to throw them in jail so they get their clothes, stripped off of them and, humiliated. So hopefully we've got the DNA from Robert Dodd, because you got all that blood, right? Bloody socks, bloody robe, bloody axe, bloody everything, just blood all over the place. Robert Dodd is just collecting all that DNA. He held on to the DNA of Candace Hiltz all those years. So, yeah, we definitely need a DNA sample from Robert Dodd, I hope. Somebody, CBI? I like to think, actually, that it's on file at the sheriff's office. And the DA and the sheriff both know where this is at. But I don't know. I don't know if we can trust any of the people that's, right now that has been rubber stamping. If you just been rubber stamping the whole time, it probably hurts you on the inside, right? To charge one of your former friends, one of your former colleagues with a crime. How many times did you convict based upon his word? And now it turns out he was a bad guy. So that means all those cases are crap. All those cases don't mean shit. And that's good, because he's a bad person, so therefore, if he pointed out somebody else being bad, well, you have to be really suspect if he was telling the truth. And it's absolutely tampering with evidence. And you had Molly Chilson give him a smaller charge, right? Sparing him of a felony. I heard that the one guy, John Patrick Walter, he had a felony assault charge on him. A felony assault charge. And yet, Robert Dodd doesn't have a felony tamper with evidence charge. And all that Patrick, I think it's John Patrick Walter, Mr. Walter, the only thing he did was get into a fight. He got into one fight, and now he's looking at felony assault. Are you telling me that Robert Dodd never got into a fight? He worked there for 25 years, never got into a fight, never had one violent altercation. And then the people actually used force. The jailers used force against John Patrick Walter. So that means they did the very felonious crime, not the felony crime. They got into a fight, they used force. And he's charged with the felony, and then they do the same crime to him. Use violence upon him. Isn't that a felony too? Especially if they killed him? They used violence and they murdered somebody. Well, how is that not a felony? I'm also nervous about everybody's safety. If these folks are corrupt, then we don't know what they're capable of. It seems like once the signatures are turned in, or maybe Hickenlooper should do it now, call the National Guard and call the state troops, the state boys, Colorado State Patrol. Seems like Hickenlooper might need to step in order to stave off a civil war, a possible civil war, just to keep it civil, right? An election that's supposed to be nonviolent, free of intimidation. The Mississippi plan says intimidation works, but we don't need an intimidating environment. If the election goes down and it turns out that the people want Beicker, keep Beicker, yay Beicker, right? Then that means he's got confidence of the people. He doesn't have the confidence of the people right now. So there should be an election anyways. And then Beicker needs to speak up. He needs to explain himself. We need to understand and we need to believe Beicker. And so if he wins the election, well then that's great for him, right? Then he gets to just coast on the rest of his term, as a person who almost got recalled but did not. So the people disagreed. And so this is, it could be good or bad. If the recall happens, I think that's great. But if it doesn't happen, it's not the end of the world. So, the people of Fremont County will choose a new sheriff. There will be an interim sheriff in between. And then, there will be a new administration. I'm also wanting to know the police report. What was the police report on the murder of Candace Hills? I want to see that police report. There had to have been a police report. I want to say Sheriff Beicker had to have taken that police report and then gave it to Molly Chilson. So there's a police report that was handed in 2006 from the current sheriff to the current DA. They were the same sheriff and the DA in 2006. So in Rick Ratzlaff, I trust. So Rick Ratzlaff is kind of sick and tired of the corruption, and so he's sticking his neck out there. And this could have been an easy decision for anybody. And so in Rick Ratzlaff, I trust. Now, I hope the recall group, I think that you have to put up a person's name of who should be sheriff. And so there's 1 year and a half left that's up there. There was that one honest cop that prevented everybody else from beating, Ratzlaff and his buddy, the veteran, at that rodeo. So I think you should take a look at that honest cop. And then you should also, I don't think you should put Rick Ratzlaff up to be sheriff. He would be a good sheriff, but I think that the council that he is with should pick somebody that isn't Rick. And it's only for a year and a half, so get somebody that's, that knows the ropes, that understands, that's got some professionalism, someone that's got some good standing in the community, somebody who, has some stature. And this is, I think, would be the best thing. Rick Ratzlaff, I trust, so, whoever Rick Ratzlaff picks, whoever Rick Ratzlaff, taps on the shoulder and says, hey, would you like to be the sheriff for Fremont County? And then the one who accepts. So that would be the person, that is what I would recommend to Rick Ratzlaff and his petition, his recall crew. Yeah, man, I appreciate you answering my questions. I got one last question for you, just a personal sort of a... Would you ever want to be sheriff? Because you're an honest man, and I feel like I could trust you compared to, you know, just some nameless person with a badge. So have you ever wanted to be sheriff?
You know, it's funny you ask that. A lot of people are saying that I should run for mayor or sheriff and put me on the payroll.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. I would love it. I would love it because this county wouldn't be ran the way it is right now, and that jail wouldn't be ran the way it is right now.
I feel like you'd be more like Mayberry. Like you'd be the guy that would want to try to solve issues, and you'd be honest. So you'd be like, you know, this is what happened, and just kind of like, I could trust you. I guess that's why I like you, because I could trust you. I feel like you'd be the best sheriff out there, whereas all these other guys, it seems like they want power just for power's sake. That's not good enough for me.
Yeah, I would love to, you know. I've been through it my whole life, and I love Canyon City, and it kills me to see what has happened over the years here. It just, you know, it's sad. It's a sad thing.
We live in a democracy, so I would think that even if you had a corrupt cop, that they got to present evidence. So that means in order for a corrupt cop to get away with his bullshit, you also need a corrupt judge and a corrupt prosecutor and district attorney. And
it's here. It's all here.
Wow. Man, I thought I got out of Kentucky to get away from the bullshit, but I guess there's corruption everywhere you go. Damn.
We're trying to get this to,
Yeah. Start off from the top, you had bought a storage unit, and where was that storage unit at?
That was in Dawson's Ranch. It's a Ritchie neighborhood up here on the outskirts of town, south side.
And it was like one of those auctions? You just come to one of the auctions and...
Yeah, it was an auction. Because you know when the guy's got a gun on him, they can say anything. Oh, he cleared it, he was on fire.
Yeah, no, I guess...
Anything could have happened.
Yeah, I guess I'm worried about...
Thank God there was an orange cop that came, a sheriff deputy came and stopped it.
What's his name? Because I think we should elevate the good ones just as much as we point out the corrupt ones.
Yeah, yes. And, you know, if he would have been there, who knows what would have happened.
Who was it?
Ben Hawk.
I mean, it's just good that, because basically if he wasn't there, like, and then how do you feel about, like, just in general? I would be sort of, I mean, knowing, one thing is, like, you know, you suspect they might do something, but when you have this kind of crap happening, that means they're scared, they're mad, they don't want any of this to go down, you know, so, I don't know.
Here's the thing, my reporter that reports all this, that's been working on every case with me, she went through all the police reports from that incident.
Yeah.
And 3 of them said they knew who I was. They recognized me. They knew who I was. And they were wondering why I was with a guy carrying a gun.
Yeah, I think that's just bullshit. It's just, I mean, they all had guns, right?
Yes, it's not against the law to have a gun.
Nah,
it's not a law to drink. Up here, you have a gun. You just can't be drunk.
Nah, I think you're absolutely right. They went after you and him just because of who you guys are.
They were hoping that he would, you know, make a move or something, you know, just a reason to blow us away. I honestly think that, because all night they watched us, and I told my friend, I told his mom, I said, they're watching us, they're planning something, and it's going to happen. And they were like, oh, they're paranoid, they're paranoid, they're paranoid. And then when we got outside the gate, and they followed us clear out the middle of where our cars were, no witnesses, I said, no, it's going down right now. They're dead, you know?
Yeah, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you.
Well, I'm not paranoid, I just do, because I know how they are. I've lived here my whole life, and I've seen how they, you know, they're cowards. They could have came in there and talked to us in front of people. Well, there was witnesses, but they didn't. They waited for us to be alone,
right,
leaving with no witnesses, and we walked far enough away from witnesses, you know, out of the grandstand, over to where the car was parked. And it was really, you know, there was hardly any people there. There was maybe 30 people in there dancing, listening to the band, and I was like, I'm ready to go. And he watched us the whole time, kept playing peekaboo around the corner and chatting, you know, and I told him, everybody it was going to happen.
Yeah, no, that's what I was trying to say to you. Maybe it's not paranoia, it's just a reasonable concern. So I think you should go with your gut with that, because sometimes when you're nervous that something might happen, you actually kind of, your senses turn on. So you're paying attention more, you're looking off the side over here, over there. So I love what you're doing. So, I mean, I hope you keep on doing it, and I hope that you're successful and stay safe, because that's... I guess let's actually talk about like what it is, you know, this whole thing. So the very beginning, start off from the top. You had bought a storage unit, and where was that storage unit at?
That was in Dawson's Ranch. It's a Ritchie neighborhood up here on the outskirts of town, south side.
And it was like one of those auctions. You just come to one of the auctions, and
it was an auction.
How much did you end up buying it for?
I bought 2 units that day, and I bought 1 rough load. And what I like to do is I like to bid people up on them. Yeah. And then in the end, you can kind of go for, you know, make them spend their money, and then you get something in the end. and that was my plan, and it worked. That's what I did. Yeah. But it's kind of weird because Candace Hiltz was 17 when she was murdered, and it was December 17th when I bought the unit.
The same day?
Yes.
By how many years? I guess it's 11 years?
Yeah, something like that. But it's just really weird that she was 17 and I bought the locker on December 17th.
Oh, yeah, that is weird. So, okay.
But, you know, it was blizzarding that day. I wasn't even going to go. But something kept telling me to go, you know, go. Something just kept telling me to go, and it's really weird. That was the very last unit, and I bought it.
And then you found some questionable items inside the storage unit.
Oh yeah.
You found
bloody socks, a hatchet, ropes, a shell casing. All kinds of stuff.
Was the rope bloody too?
What's that?
That you said the rope. You had rope. You found rope. So I was wondering if it was bloody too, because I remember bloody socks and an axe and the.
Yes, it was bloody. And what it was used to tie up the family dog up there. They killed the dog.
Right.
Before they killed her, 3 days prior, they killed the dog. And then came back.
Yeah, you wouldn't know about that. Like, I guess I would like to talk to the family too, but I've read somewhere that a police officer had talked to them prior, and then that was an argument. Candace Hiltz.
There were 3 of them up there, and what happened was Candace Hiltz called them out for dealing drugs up there on the west end, and they wanted her computer and they wanted her phone because she took pictures. And she had evidence. She was going to blow the whistle on. Right. And they were up there wanting everything, and and the family dog was trying to bite them. So
who are these 3 people?
I don't really have their names.
Because that's what I read, that it was a police officer, but I'm like, oh my God, who is that person? Because that would be my number 1 suspect of who killed her.
Yeah. Well, we all know who did it, and actually. I got some big information tonight from an out-of-town source that just linked 2 murders, Hiltz and another murder together, from something from the landfill. So something's getting ready to explode. I can't really talk about it right now.
Yeah. No,
I can't put it out there.
That's fine. Just tell me what you think.
I know what's getting ready to happen, and it's big. Real big.
Is it that, was that Robert Dodd or whatever? Was he one of the cops that was talking to Candace?
Yes, I believe he was, and I believe it's Montoya and Hall. I'm not sure on that, so, you know.
Speculation. Okay, I gotcha.
But you know, if you want to come to our meeting, we're going to have a Fremont Freedom Fighters meeting, And what we do is we invite victims of the town by DHS, city police, whoever.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Mishandle the case. I started this group, and we're doing a meeting Monday night at Muggs at 7:30.
Where at?
At Muggs, Canyon City Muggs.
Kansas City. I'm out of Pueblo, so it would be a little bit of a drive, but I think that would be worth it, to be honest with you. Muggs, is that like a bar or a restaurant?
Yeah, it's a restaurant. They have a back room, and I rent it, and we try and help people, and we talk. And
M-U-G-S?
Huh?
M-U-G-S? Muggs?
Yeah, M-U-G-S. Yeah, it's on East Main.
Yeah, man, I would love to meet you. I would love to help you, so I definitely...
Posted on Fremont County Rant Rave and stuff, too, so...
No, I'm glad you found it. And then you said when you found the items, you called the sheriff, I guess, Beicker or I don't know.
I reported it to the police department, and one of the high-up police officers didn't even want to help me. He was too scared to do it. And he told me to call FBI or CBI. But I waited, and, I called the FBI, and they said they wouldn't help me.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Well, I guess what I was thinking was I read somewhere that you had talked to the sheriff, and then he said, you haven't told anybody about this, like he said you need to keep it kind of on the down low, and then he had access to the thing, and then it got ransacked. Is that...
Well, what happened is he threatened me over the phone to give him everything, or my life could be in danger, my family's life.
Jesus. So...
Yeah, he threatened me, he had the balls to threaten me, and pissed me off.
Sure.
And, I've always known there's corruption there because they did do something to me, and I can prove it.
Yeah.
And it happened in 2005, and Beicker knows that he did a dirty on me.
How long has
should have fired an officer over it.
How long has Beicker been sheriff?
Since 2003 or 4.
So he's been in there for quite some time.
Yeah.
No, because that's when I'm trying to piece it all together just with with what the articles have been written out there, and the only thing they said, and it made it seem more innocuous than what you just said, but he said
I've never seen what a $1.60 can do to somebody.
Yeah.
Anyways, I was just messing with my kid.
Oh, no, that's fine.
I have a 16 gauge here.
How many kids you got?
I have to keep guns everywhere I go, dude.
Yeah, man, absolutely. God, you're right in the middle of shit right now. So, I definitely want to, help as much as I can. You said, okay, so he threatened you. What exactly did he say? He said, you better not tell anybody about this, or I'll kill you, or what?
No, he said, I want to see what you got in that locker today, and I'll meet you up there. He's actually at my house, and I wasn't here, and he called me, and he says, I want it all, and if you don't want to cooperate with me, your life is in danger, and your family is too.
God damn, dude. Damn.
It pissed me off, so what I did is, I'm a little bit smarter than that idiot.
Yeah.
I immediately drove up there and took items out.
Yeah.
And took them to my house. Just because I didn't want him to get everything and then say it was never there.
Right. No, after that big find in the landfill, which was incredible, I was mad at the author, Tracy. She said that she gave it all to CIS, or the internal people, or the state people. I'm like, oh my God, quit giving it to the authorities. Save all the stuff, look through it all, take pictures, and then, that way...
She took pictures. I called her. I was in Salida, and the landfill guy called me. He said, Rick, I need your help. My boss is smashing all this evidence of his dog's roll-off. And I said, I will send Tracy out there right now, and we'll handle it, So I called Tracy, and she boogied right out there. She stood in front of the roller and said, absolutely not, are you moving? And running over any of this. So, she did good, and she took pictures of everything.
Yeah, she did good, but I guess, it's a big fine, but I was just, how do you know who to trust? How do you know to give it to the FBI, like you were saying,
Well,
like you go to the
You can't
state?
trust CBI because they do hold hands of Fremont County. It's proven.
Right.
They did not pull a search warrant. They did not search his house. They should have done that.
Yeah,
They would
right.
have found all that.
They would have done that with anybody else. I don't know why they would treat them any differently.
They would have. They're dirty. I tell you, and they charging them with misdemeanors? Bullshit. Charging with tampering with evidence of an ongoing murder investigation. That's a felony.
It sure
That
is.
charges on everybody in this county. They'll give you 5 or 6 felonies and 7 misdemeanors, and they'll give you a fucked up plea bargain to take the worst 3 felonies and the worst 2 misdemeanors out of all of them. They love stacking charges on you here.
Yeah, they do that shit all the time. They do, it's called enhancement charges, right? They might get you for, like, speeding, but then they'll throw on 3 extra charges. And then it's like a slaughterhouse, too. The district attorney and the judges, they all assume you're guilty as soon as the cop points his finger at you and accuses you, you know? So if it's so easy to convict a citizen, how come it's so difficult to convict, you know, a citizen turned police officer? And
yes,
another,
it's not right. It's not right at all.
It's not right. I mean, another interesting thing about that article, Tracy's article about that evidence found, was that, shoot, I'm losing it. She had said, oh, Jilson, the district attorney, she said she called her, but she didn't pick up, and then as soon as she called later, she just went ahead and passed the buck. So, that felt weird to me. I have evidence here of crime.
That DA is pathetic, and I can tell you the DA prior that works with her is cheeseball too, because he just screwed me over.
Was that the guy who got all the evidence?
Him at all.
Was that the guy that she gave all the evidence to?
I don't know if it's him that went and got it or not, but he is worthless, and I can tell you what he did to me. But, you know, I just don't have the time on the phone. But Monday night, if you're wanting to talk, I'll tell you that I can give you the lowdown. And what we do is, you know, Tracy and me, our phones blow up 24/7 on people wanting help here.
Yeah.
And there's a lot Tracy can't help. But here's another thing. I don't trust the Daily Record. They don't want to, they're in cahoots with the sheriff department.
Right.
They had my story a week before Tracy ran it, and they wouldn't run it. And then the day Tracy ran it, they did. The next day they picked up on it.
No, that's some bullshit. That's what I was saying is, like, why give it to, she said she gave all that evidence to the DA's office, so I'm like, no!
Yeah, but see, they had an outside investigator come, and that was a good thing.
So you trust that guy, that outside investigator?
From Colorado Springs, I do.
Okay. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, man, I appreciate you answering my questions. I got one last question for you, just a sort of a, would you ever want to be sheriff? Because you're an honest man, and I feel like I could trust you compared to, you know, just some nameless person with a badge. So have you ever wanted to be sheriff?
You know, explaining that a lot of people are saying that I should run for mayor or sheriff and put me on the payroll.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. I would love it. I would love it because this county wouldn't be ran the way it is right now, and that jail wouldn't be ran the way it is right now.
I feel like you'd be more like Mayberry. Like, you'd be the guy that would want to try to solve issues, and you'd be honest. So you'd be like, you know, this is what happened, and just kind of like, I could trust you. I guess that's why I like you, because I could trust you. I feel like you'd be the best sheriff out there, whereas all these other guys, it seems like they want power just for power's sake. Well, that's not good enough for me.
Yeah, I would love to, you know. I've been through it my whole life, and I love Canyon City, and it kills me to see what has happened over the years here. It just, you know, it's sad. It's a sad thing.
That's cool. I was going to, my friend is in that jail, actually, for a DUI, so I was going to stop there maybe Sunday night.
Hey, let me ask you this. Did Aaron Hart give him the DUI?
I don't know. I think it was a Pueblo thing, so probably not.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, they hit my boy up, and he was in that jail, and they're beating him up every day, giving him a new charge every day.
Recently?
I just had him, Yeah, he's in now. I just had him moved to Pueblo because they were beating him up and doing shit. He's vindictive because they're mad at me.
Well, I didn't feel safe with them anyway.
False charges, so it's pretty bad.
Well, I think that just the nature of their job, like, it might turn them. I don't know. I went up there the other day on Saturday, and they said somebody had already visited my friend, so I wasn't allowed to see him. And then they said, just come back tomorrow. And I'm like, well, if I come back tomorrow at the same time, and somebody had just visited him, like, you know, an hour before so it's the same deal. I'm going to drive all the way up there just like playing craps. It's like roulette, you know, just, well, maybe some days you get to see them, some days you don't. I don't think they have a consistent policy. It just seemed like she just wanted to be an asshole to me, and then I was just kind of like, well, shit, you know, what else can I do? I can't, like, I will see him right now. You know, I guess I could have tried something like that, but I'm sure they would have, you know, used violence.
Yeah, you'll see him right now. Come on in here. Ain't gonna sell.
Right, yeah, exactly.
That's how they are.
Sit right next to him. Yeah, well, that sucks, because I feel like that makes me nervous. My friend's behind closed doors. I don't know, you know, what's happening to him, what's not happening to him. They didn't mention that.
The sad thing is, it's their word against yours, you know.
It absolutely is. And then when they say...
They know that. And they use that to their advantage, and it's not right. You could be a totally honest guy, and they're going to lie and you give you up. They already did it to me. I had to fight to get it handled.
We live in a democracy, so I would think that even if you had a corrupt cop, that they got to present evidence. So that means in order for a corrupt cop to get away with this bullshit, you also need a corrupt judge and a corrupt prosecutor and district attorney.
And it's here. It's all here.
Wow. Man, I thought I got out of Kentucky to get away from the bullshit, but I guess there's corruption everywhere you go. Damn.
We're trying to get this to,
yeah.
We're trying to get this out there to where it's going to go big. We wanted to go to like 2020. We wanted to go hard copy or, you know, we want to get it out there.
Yeah, you should get it out there, but I think that it's all about the recall, man. Get them signatures, and I might be able to give you I don't know, on Monday or Sunday, I'll give you a call. Would you want to work and try to get some signatures in the morning on Monday, or when do you go out to get signatures? When do you?
I work. I'm off on the weekends usually.
And that's when you usually try to get your signatures?
Yeah.
And you got to.
You know, I'm gonna be handing out papers to people. They're gonna be coming to that meeting, and we're gonna, you know, run with it again. So, you know, I'll have more out there so people can help me.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you had a crew or somebody, you know, a bunch of people going out there doing this, it would be, it'd be nice to do it with some, you know, some other folks. Because I could definitely do it. I could definitely go knocking on people's doors and ask them to sign a petition, and if they say no, that's okay. I'm not trying to bully anybody, so I'd be pretty good at that if you found some time. But I guess I'll be seeing you on Monday night at the very least.
Sounds good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Rick. Have a good night, man. Thank you.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.